Hello, I have a question about how I can do something with ReaVoice. I'm going to explain what the question is, then I'll explain what ReaVoice is for anyone who doesn't know, and then why it's a problem and the things I've done around it. So the question is, or the request is, I should say, I would like to always have dry at 0 if I'm not playing a MIDI note, and if I am playing a MIDI note, I would like dry to be at -infinite. I would specifically like this to be for all MIDI notes and not just one, because the closest I've come to this is by using one MIDI note. So let's talk about what ReaVoice is and why I'd like to do this. So ReaVoice is a really wonderful MIDI controlled multi-voice pitch shifter, which is basically whatever note I play on the keyboard, it transposes the sample relative to the center note of C4, which is middle C. So basically, if you play any MIDI note, which I'll do showing this, it'll transpose this, in this case, just an atmosphere pad, by that much. And in this case, if we've got dry at 0, which is just meaning neutral, then we will hear both the dry signal, and then when I play the MIDI note, we will hear both the dry signal and the pitch shifted version. So I'll play that to just show you. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So we've got both. And then if I have dry at 0, sorry, apologies, dry at -infinite, then we will only ever hear signal whenever I play a MIDI note. So we start off on C4, and then it moves from there. So, but crucially, when I'm not playing a note, you will not hear anything. And that's really cool. But what I am wondering is whether or not I can combine these two things, and whether or not I'm able to go, every time I'm not playing a note, I just want to hear the sample as normal. And then when I press any MIDI note, to only ever hear the pitch shifted version of it. So there's two workarounds that I can think of. One of them is just to always hold down C4, but that actually became a little bit basically tedious with like doing any sort of pitch shifting. It means that if you've got like a long song or you've got a long section, you've got to hold down C4 for everything. And then like if you want juddery pitch shifts, you'd always have to keep having the C4 bass note in the middle. I'm aware that I could do that. I'm just trying to see if there's an easier way. And the second alternative is to use the parameter modulation. The problem with parameter modulation is that I can only set, to my understanding, can only set it for one specific note to do what I want instead of for all notes. So I'll just show you what I mean. If I put dry back at 0, so this means that we can currently hear the dry signal. And then if we go to parameters, notice that we're already automating dry. And then we're going to go to parameter modulator, and we're going to go link from MIDI, and we're going to go to MIDI, and we're going to go to note. And notice that I would set a note. So strictly speaking, a way to do this would be to go through and set to every single MIDI note, which I'm not a big fan of just because of how tedious it could be. Maybe I could just make a script to do it for me. Maybe that exists. That's why I'm asking. So now, notice when I press, in this case, F3, which is the F below middle C, then dry is moving from, in this case, plus 0.1, but who cares, to -infinite. So that's doing what I want on one note. So this gives me the option to do this. Which is cool. It means it's bouncing back to one note. But what I was looking to see is if I can have that kind of do-do, you know, like the dry note and then the wet note, but only a bit, but entirely matching to every single note of the keyboard. I hope that makes sense. And I'm just kind of curious. Like I said, there's a couple of like workarounds that I can think of, but I'm just wondering if anyone else has a better one that they could help me with. Yeah, currently the best solution seems to be to make exactly this parameter modulation for every single MIDI note, which might be the case, but I at least wanted to check first. Anyway, hope you're having a great day. Thank you so much, and look after yourselves. Thank you.